It was very exciting to be able to travel with my wife, and one of the places we were able to travel to was Cambodia. Very quickly, without even necessarily a ton of planning, we found ourselves at several orphanages. One orphanage in particular, we got to spend a lot of time, and knowing and got to see and smell and touch and feel just the need for orphans to have families.
We began our adoption journey in 2007. We had recently returned from a trip to Cambodia where we experienced firsthand the devastation of children growing up without families. We knew that we wanted to do something to change that, even if it was for only one child. And at that time, we desired to adopt internationally, so we began to pursue an adoption in Vietnam.
And we were really excited, and our friends and family all gathered behind us, and we did all the paperwork and the home studies and the just countless documentation and on all that whole process. And after a really long time, a lot of work and energy and money was invested, just through circumstances, Vietnam and the United States canceled their adoption process, and so that entire, just that whole adoption had to be just completely terminated and ended.
We grieved the loss of that dream, and we began to pray about where God was leading us next. We felt drawn to Burundi, Africa.
So we founded an agency and started working with them, and again, we're excited in the paperwork and the money, and
only to get to the point where we were waiting for a match. And then we found out that our agency had misled us all along, and it was actually not possible to adopt from Burundi yet.
Yeah, we just had to, that was a whole nother kind of dead end / canceled road. At that point, just through our church and through friends and family and networking, we'd actually been going to Haiti
and spending a lot of time in several different orphanages. But we knew with all the red tape and the dysfunction within the government, it would be nearly impossible for us to adopt from Haiti. So we closed the chapter on pursuing that dream as well.
We did believe and truly trusted that this is what God wanted for us, and He never said it was going to be easy, but this is definitely something He planted in our hearts, and so we just kept plugging away. And
in 2011, 4 years after we initially began our adoption journey, we got a call from our social worker, and she was calling to ask if we would be interested in their domestic program.
And my wife got a call from a friend of a friend, was pregnant and was making plans for to have her baby be adopted.
So we said yes, and we met the very next day.
It was literally not 24 hours later, we got to meet that birth mom, and it was meant to be.
And it was in that conversation that we knew that God had ordained this moment from the beginning of time.
The day came where we were so fortunate and blessed to be invited to the hospital, and actually invited into the birthing room, I guess.
And on August 15th, 2011, we were witness to the miraculous on the day Carter James Jarrett was born.
And I was able to actually cut the umbilical cord of my adopted son. And I was a super proud father. I remember coming down the elevator, walking out of the hospital, and Carter's in his little car seat. I'm like holding him up to everybody, random strangers. It's my son, introduce my son.
So on that day, our lives changed, and adoption has defined our parenthood. It has been our greatest joy to parent Carter. I never could have experienced the gospel the way that I have had I not adopted.
God has truly blessed us and given us the desires of our heart.
In the midst of this journey, we feel utterly dependent on God, and that feels like a gift. We really desire to put ourselves in the middle of the impossible and let Jesus do His thing in order for Him to get the glory. And there's nothing in this entire world that I would rather do than care for this little miracle that Jesus has ordained to be mine. And now we want God to do it again. We began to pursue another adoption about a year ago, and we're actually matched with a birth mom.
Yeah, just a few months before that baby was born, we just got a random text in the middle of the night from the birth mom, letting us know that she had changed her mind and decided to to parent her child by herself.
So in the midst of that, while we found comfort, we also felt grief.
And so through these disappointments, I had to like remind myself, and Lisa and I would remind each other and to say like, all right, well, you know, we know God is faithful. We know God's timing is perfect. We know He's in control. So, you know, do we really believe that? Because if we really do, that won't make it feel any better, but that's where we're gonna land.
Almost a year has passed since that time, and we have continued to wait. And in our waiting, we realized that our desire to grow our family through adoption has only grown. And in order to increase our opportunity to adopt domestically, we've decided to pursue a new agency. We're now at the point where we are active with our agency, and that means that our paperwork has all been completed, all of the initial fees have been paid, and we are now active, and our profile is being shown to potential birth families. However, once we are matched, our agency requires that the remainder of the costs be paid up front. So based on our agency fees, the birth parent costs, travel costs, and attorney fees, we'll need to come up with approximately $20,000 more in order to complete the adoption. The easy answer to me is find another job, work harder, take out a loan. But the hard answer is something else, and something that I feel overwhelmingly compelled to follow. The answer that God has led us to is just ask.
And that's where we are again. And we're pretty pumped about just to see what happens next.
So we're coming before you to invite you into the work God is doing in us and making all things new. And so we ask, will you consider joining with us on this journey to boldly proclaim the goodness of God's glory in all of our lives and to welcome another child into our family? So if you feel compelled to give, you can go to our site on Pure Charity, and all the donations are tax deductible. Anything that we raise will be given to American Adoptions to offset our costs for this next adoption. And if you feel compelled to pray, we would ask that you join with us and pray fervently for whatever God lays on your heart. We thank you so much for joining with us, and we look forward to the celebration of what it will look like for this next part of our family to be complete.